I woke up during my coma and heard my family fighting over my will. They say you can't hear anything when you're in a coma. They're wrong. I heard everything. And what I heard made me fight like hell to wake up. So I could destroy every single one of them. My name is Margaret Chen. I'm 68 years old. And I'm recording this from my new apartment in Portland, Oregon, a place none of my children know about. 3 months ago, I was supposed to die. My family was counting on it. They'd already divided up my money, my house, everything I'd worked 50 years to build. But God had other plans. He woke me up just long enough to hear their true hearts. And what I did when I finally opened my eyes. Let me tell you, it was the sweetest revenge a mother could ever serve. But before I take you back to that hospital room where my world shattered, I need you to do something for me. If you're already hooked by this story, hit that subscribe button right now. We're building this channel to 10,000 subscribers. And every single one of you matters. Hit subscribe because what happens next, when I finally wake up and confront my children, will shock you to your core. I promise you that. Now let me take you back to the beginning. Back to the day my perfect life started crumbling. It was a Tuesday morning in late July. I remember because I'd just finished my morning walk around the neighborhood. Something I did every single day for the past 15 years. I was proud of my health. 68 years old and I could walk 5 miles without breaking a sweat. I ate clean. I took my vitamins. I did everything right. I'd raised 3 children alone after my husband. David died of a heart attack 22 years ago. David was only 50 when he passed. And he left me with a small life insurance policy, 3 kids in college, and a mortgage I could barely afford on my teacher's salary. But I didn't complain. I worked 2 jobs. I taught 5th grade during the day and cleaned office buildings at night. I wore the same 3 outfits for 5 years. I clipped coupons like my life depended on it because it did. My kids never went without. Jennifer, my oldest, went to Berkeley. Michael, my middle child, went to Stanford. And my baby, Lisa, went to UCLA. I paid every single tuition bill. Every dorm fee. Every textbook. I wanted them to have the opportunities one never had. When they graduated, they all got good jobs. Jennifer became a lawyer in San Francisco. Michael became a financial analyst in Seattle. Lisa became a marketing director in Los Angeles. They were successful. They were thriving. And I was so proud. But here's what I didn't realize until it was almost too late. They didn't love me. They loved what I could give them. After I retired from teaching at 62, I sold the family home in Sacramento and moved to a smaller house in Portland. The sale gave me a nice chunk of money. About $400,000 after paying off the mortgage. Combined with my pension and Social Security, I was comfortable for the first time in my life. I could finally breathe. I could finally live without counting every penny. I thought my kids would be happy for me. Instead, they started calling more often, visiting more, asking questions about my finances. "Mom, do you have a will?" Jennifer asked during one visit. "Mom, you should really think about estate planning," Michael said during another. "Mom, have you thought about what happens to the house when you're gone?" Lisa asked, her voice dripping with concern that felt rehearsed. I should have seen it then. But I was blind. I was a mother who believed her children loved her unconditionally. I was a fool. I did set up a will. A simple one. Everything split 3 ways. The house, my savings, my pension survivor benefits. Equal shares. Fair. That's what mothers do, right? We treat our children equally, even when they don't deserve it. That Tuesday morning in July, I came home from my walk, poured myself a glass of water, and suddenly felt dizzy. The room started spinning. I tried to grab the counter, but my legs gave out. I remember hitting the floor hard, my head cracking against the tile. Then nothing. Just darkness. I woke up 3 days later. Except I didn't really wake up. I was trapped. Trapped inside my own body, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to open my eyes. But I could hear. Oh God, I could hear everything. The doctors called it locked-in syndrome. A rare condition where you're conscious but completely paralyzed. They didn't know I could hear them. Nobody did. The brain scans showed minimal activity. They told my children I was in a deep coma. That my chances of waking up were less than 5%. That they should start thinking about end-of-life decisions. And that's when the real nightmare began. I heard my children arrive at the hospital that first day. I heard Jennifer's heels clicking against the floor as she walked into my room. "How is she?" Jennifer asked the nurse. "No change. The doctors don't expect her to wake up." "I'm so sorry." "How long?" That was Michael's voice. Cold. Clinical. Could be days. Could be weeks. There's no way to know. "And if she doesn't wake up?" Lisa asked. "Then you'll need to make some difficult decisions about life support." I wanted to scream. I wanted to move. I wanted to tell them I was here, I was listening, I was alive. but my body wouldn't cooperate. I was a prisoner in my own flesh. We should talk, Jennifer said after the nurse left. Privately. I heard them move chairs closer to my bed. I felt Michael's hand on my arm, cold and impersonal. Like he was checking if I was still warm. So the will, Jennifer started. Everything's split 3 ways, right? That's what she told me last year, Michael confirmed. The house is worth at least $500,000 now, Lisa said. Portland real estate has gone crazy. Plus her savings, Jennifer added. She told me once she had about $300,000 in investments. $380,000, I wanted to correct. But I couldn't. So we're looking at about $800,000 total. Split 3 ways, Michael calculated. That's roughly $260,000 each. They were counting my money. While I lay there, possibly dying. They were counting my money like I was already dead. We need to talk about the house, Jennifer said. I think we should sell it as soon as possible. The market's hot right now. Agreed, Michael said. No point in keeping it. None of us live in Portland anyway. What about Mom's things? Lisa asked. Her jewelry, her furniture, all that stuff? We'll have an estate sale, Jennifer said dismissively. Whatever's left, we'll donate. An estate sale. They were planning to sell my entire life. Everything I'd collected over 68 years, to strangers. There's one problem, Michael said, and I heard papers rustling. Her pension. It dies with her. We don't get that. How much is it? Lisa asked. About $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year we're losing. Damn, Jennifer muttered. That's a lot of money. They were disappointed. Disappointed that my pension would die with me. Disappointed that they wouldn't get an extra $36,000 a year. Well, there's nothing we can do about that, Michael said. The important thing is liquidating everything else quickly. The longer this drags out, the more money we lose in hospital bills. Hospital bills. They were worried about hospital bills cutting into their inheritance. Should we talk to the doctors about pulling the plug? Lisa asked quietly. My heart would have stopped if it could. My own daughter, my baby girl, the child I'd rocked to sleep 1,000 nights, was suggesting they kill me. It's too soon, Jennifer said. We need to wait at least a week. Otherwise, it looks bad. Looks bad. Not feels bad. Not as bad. Looks bad. Agreed, Michael said. Give it 7 to 10 days. If nothing changes, we tell the doctors we want to remove life support. Mom wouldn't want to live like this anyway. How did they know what I'd want? Did they ever ask me? Did they ever have a real conversation with me about my wishes, my fears, my dreams? We should start going through her house this weekend, Jennifer suggested. Figure out what's valuable, what we can sell. Good idea, Lisa agreed. I'll fly up Friday night. I'll drive down Saturday morning, Michael said. Let's meet at the house around 10. They were planning to go through my house, my home, while I was lying in a hospital bed fighting for my life. They couldn't even wait for me to die. Over the next 3 days, I listened to them visit my hospital room in shifts. They'd come in, talk to the nurses, ask about my condition, then leave after 15 minutes. They never talked to me. Never held my hand for longer than a few seconds. Never read to me or played music or did any of the things families are supposed to do for coma patients. Instead, they talked on their phones in the hallway. I could hear them through the thin walls. Jennifer called her husband. It's just a matter of time now. Yeah, we're looking at about $260,000. I'm thinking we use it for the down payment on that Napa house. Mom would want us to be happy. Michael called his girlfriend. Babe, remember that Tesla I wanted? I'll be able to get it soon. No, everything's fine. Mom's just not going to make it. It's sad, but it's life. Lisa called her best friend. Girl, I'm about to come into some serious money. I'm thinking Bali for 2 months. I need a break from work and this is perfect timing. What? No, I'm not being insensitive. Mom lived a good life. This is what happens when you get old. I heard every word. Every casual dismissal of my life. Every excited plan for my money. Every lie they told themselves to justify their greed. But the worst was yet to come. On day 4, they all came together. I heard them gathering in my room around 8 in the evening, after visiting hours, when the halls were quiet. So I went through the house yesterday, Jennifer said. There's definitely some valuable stuff. That antique china set is worth at least $5,000. The jade collection is probably worth 10. My jade collection. My mother had given me those pieces one by one, over 30 years. Each piece had a story, a memory. They were going to sell them to strangers. I found some bonds in her desk drawer, Michael said. Looks like another $50,000 we didn't know about. Seriously? Lisa's voice perked up. That changes the math. Split 3 ways? We're each looking at close to $300,000 now, Michael calculated. We need to move fast, Jennifer said. I talked to a real estate agent. She said she can list the house within a week of Mom passing. Of Mom passing? Not if. When? What about the funeral? Lisa asked. Cremation, Jennifer said immediately. Cheapest option. We'll do a small memorial service, nothing fancy. Mom always said she wanted to be buried next to Dad, Michael said. That's too expensive, Jennifer snapped. Burial plots are $20,000. We're not wasting inheritance money on that. They were going to cremate me against my wishes because burial was too expensive. Because they didn't want to spend their inheritance money on honoring my final request. Fine, Michael agreed. Cremation it is. One more thing, Jennifer said, her voice dropping lower. I talked to the doctor today. He said if we want to remove life support, we need to all agree and sign the papers. Silence. Heavy, thick silence. It's been 4 days, Michael finally said. The doctor said she's not going to wake up. We're just prolonging the inevitable. And the hospital bills are adding up, Lisa added. Every day she's here is costing money. So we're agreed? Jennifer asked. We tell them tomorrow we want to remove life support? Agreed, Michael said. Agreed, Lisa echoed. My own children. The babies I'd birthed, the toddlers I'd raised. The teenagers I'd supported. The adults I'd sacrificed everything for. They just agreed to kill me for money. Something broke inside me in that moment. Not my heart was already shattered. Something deeper. Something primal. The part of me that believed family was everything. That blood was thicker than water. That mothers and children were bound by unconditional love. It was all a lie. And that's when I felt it. A tiny flutter in my right hand. My index finger. It moved. Just barely, just a millimeter, but it moved. I focused every ounce of energy, every bit of will. Every desperate prayer to God to that one finger. Move. Please move. I have to wake up. I have to stop them. It moved again. Stronger this time. Did you see that? Lisa gasped. Her finger. It moved. It's just a muscle spasm, Jennifer said dismissively. The nurse said that happens sometimes. No, look. It's moving again. I moved it again. And again. I focused until sweat I couldn't feel soaked my body. Move. Move. Wake up. You have to wake up. Oh my God, Michael said. She's waking up. Mom? Mom, can you hear me? Liar. Liar. You were going to kill me 5 seconds ago. Get the nurse. Jennifer shouted. Now. Footsteps running. Voices shouting. Machines beeping. Hands on me, checking me, pulling at me. Mrs. Chen? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, move your finger again. I moved it. Once. Twice. 3 times. She's responsive. Get the doctor. She's coming out of it. Over the next 2 hours. I fought my way back to consciousness like I was climbing out of a deep, dark well. First my fingers. Then my toes. Then my eyes, those heavy, heavy eyes that felt like they had weights attached to them. When I finally opened them, the light was blinding. Painful. But I didn't care because I could see. I could see my 3 children standing at the foot of my bed. Their faces masks of concern that I now knew were completely fake. Mom. Jennifer rushed to my side, grabbing my hand. Oh thank God. We were so worried. Worried about your inheritance, I thought but couldn't say yet. My throat was too dry, my voice too weak. Don't try to talk, Michael said, his voice gentle. You've been through a lot. Just rest. Rest. So you can try to kill me again? What do you mean? I mean, we make sure they get exactly what they deserve. Nothing. Over the next 2 weeks, Patricia and I worked in secret. She came to Jennifer's house under the pretense of visiting me as an old friend. We'd sit in the garden, talking and laughing, while she explained my legal options. I created a new will. A very different will. I liquidated my investments slowly, carefully, moving money into a new account my children didn't know about. I contacted a real estate agent and quietly listed my Portland house. It sold in 3 days. I moved every penny. I had, all $875,000, into a trust. A trust that would distribute my money exactly how I wanted it distributed. To the organizations and people who actually deserved it. $25,000 to the elementary school where I taught for 30 years. For a scholarship fund in my late husband's name. $25,000 to the Children's Hospital in Sacramento. $25,000 to a women's shelter that helped single mothers. $25,000 to my church. The rest, $775,000, split between my 4 best friends from my teaching days. Women who'd supported me, loved me, been there for me when my children were too busy to call. And my children? They got $1,000 each. Exactly $1,000. Enough to know it was intentional. Enough to know they weren't forgotten. Just deemed worthless. But I didn't stop there. I wrote letters. 3 letters. One for each of my children. Letters explaining exactly what I'd heard in the hospital. Every word. Every conversation. Every plan they'd made to kill me for money. Patricia helped me set everything up. The will was signed, notarized, and filed. The trust was established and funded. The letters were sealed and given to Patricia to distribute after my death. Then I did something my children never expected. I disappeared. I told Jennifer I was feeling better and wanted to go home to Portland. She tried to convince me to stay longer, but I insisted. Michael drove up to San Francisco to help move me back. Except I didn't go back to my house. Because I didn't have a house anymore. I'd sold it. Instead, I'd rented a small 2-bedroom apartment in a different neighborhood in Portland. A place my children had never been. A place they didn't know about. Michael dropped me off at what he thought was my house. I had him leave my suitcases on the porch. "I'll bring them in after I rest for a bit," I said. "You sure, Mom? I can help you inside." "I'm sure, sweetheart. You've done enough. Drive safe back to Seattle." He hugged me, kissed my cheek, told me he loved me. All lies. All performance. The moment his car disappeared around the corner, I called an Uber, loaded my suitcases, and went to my new apartment. My new life. My new beginning. I changed my phone number. I didn't tell my children the new one. When they called my old number, it was disconnected. When they tried to visit my house, new owners answered the door. Panic set in quickly. Jennifer called the police, reported me missing. The police found me within 2 days. It's hard to truly disappear in modern America, but when they asked if I wanted my children to know where I was, I said no. "I'm a competent adult," I told the officer. "I have the right to privacy. I don't want my children to have my contact information." The officer looked uncomfortable but nodded. "You're right, ma'am. You're not in danger, you're not incapacitated. We'll tell them you're safe but that you've requested no contact." My children lost their minds. They hired a private investigator. They contacted lawyers. They tried everything to find me. But I'd covered my tracks well. Patricia had helped me set up a P.O. box for mail. My apartment was rented under a trust name. My new phone was prepaid. I was a ghost. For 3 months, I lived peacefully. I made new friends at the community center. I volunteered at the library. I took painting classes. I learned to garden. I did all the things I'd never had time for when I was working. 2 jobs to put my ungrateful children through college. I was happy. Truly, genuinely happy for the first time in decades. Then one Tuesday morning, I woke up and felt that same dizziness I'd felt months before. The room spun. My chest tightened. Another stroke. A massive one. I called 911 myself. The paramedics arrived within minutes. But this time, there was no waking up. No locked-in syndrome. No hearing secrets I shouldn't hear. This time, I went peacefully. Knowing I'd won. Knowing my children would get exactly what they deserved. I died 3 days later, on a Thursday afternoon. With my friend Patricia holding my hand. My children found out through the coroner's office. They rushed to Portland, demanded to see me. Demanded answers about where I'd been. Why I'd disappeared, what had happened. Patricia met them at the hospital with my death certificate and an envelope. "Your mother left this for you," she said, handing each of them a sealed letter. They tore them open right there in the hospital hallway. And as they read, their faces went from confusion to shock to absolute horror. Because in those letters, I'd written everything. Every word I'd heard in my hospital room. Every plan they'd made. Every lie they'd told. Every greedy calculation. Every betrayal. And at the end, I'd written this. "You wanted my money more than you wanted me. So I made sure you'd get exactly what you valued me at. $1,000. Use it wisely. It's more than you deserve. The rest of my estate has gone to people who actually loved me. People who saw me as more than a bank account. I hope the guilt eats you alive the way your greed almost killed me. You are no longer my children. You're strangers who happen to share my blood. And that means nothing. Goodbye forever. Margaret Chen." The will reading happened 1 week later. Patricia officiated. My children sat in her office, their faces pale. Their hands shaking as she read through the document. 25,000 to the school. 25,000 to the hospital. 25,000 to the shelter. 25,000 to the church. 775,000 to my 4 friends. And $1,000 each to Jennifer, Michael, and Lisa. "This is bullshit." Michael exploded. "She wasn't in her right mind. We're contesting this." "You're welcome to try," Patricia said calmly. "But I should warn you. Your mother had a full psychiatric evaluation done 1 week before she died. She was deemed completely competent. She also recorded a video explaining her reasons for the will. which I'm happy to play for the judge if you contest. In that video, she details everything she heard you say in the hospital. Everything. Jennifer's face went white. She heard us? Every word. She had locked-in syndrome. Conscious but paralyzed. She heard you planning to kill her. She heard you counting her money. She heard you deciding to cremate her against her wishes to save money. All of it. Lisa started crying. Not tears of grief. Tears of panic. Tears of someone who just realized they'd destroyed their life for nothing. We didn't mean, she started. Yes, you did, Patricia interrupted. And now you have to live with it. You have to live knowing your mother died believing you only saw her as a wallet. You have to live knowing you tried to kill her for money you'll never see. That's your inheritance. Guilt. Shame. And $1,000. None of them contested the will. What could they say? That they deserved more? That they'd been good children? Patricia had the recording. She had the evidence. They'd lose in court and be humiliated publicly. So they took their $1,000 and left. I heard through mutual friends that they barely speak to each other anymore. Too much resentment. Too much blame. Each one thinks the others pushed too hard, got too greedy, ruined everything. My friend Sarah, one of the beneficiaries of my trust, told me she saw Jennifer at a grocery store last month. Jennifer looked tired. Defeated. Haunted. She asked about you, Sarah said. Asked if you'd ever talked about them at the end. I told her the truth. That you said you finally understood what it meant to be free. And I was free. In those final 3 months of my life, after I disappeared from my children's grasp, I was more free than I'd been in 50 years. So here's what I need from you. If you've ever been taken for granted by family, comment to Margaret. If you think my children got what they deserved, comment justice. If you believe blood doesn't make you family, love does, comment truth. But most importantly, subscribe right now. We're building a community where women's voices matter, where our stories of survival and revenge inspire others, where we remind each other that we're worth more than what we can give. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Share this with every woman who's ever been used by the people who should love her most. My name was Margaret Chen. I was 68 years old. I woke up during my coma and heard my family fighting over my will. So I changed it. I gave them nothing. And I died knowing I won. Thank you for listening to my confession. See you in next story.